if you were to give one dietary piece of advice, and I know this is kind of this is a big ambiguous question, but this is what my listeners and viewers are wanting to hear right out of the gate. What would be your advice? Someone suffering with eczema, they're going to turn to a diet. They're looking to go keto, carnivore, primal ish. What would be some staple things, some baseline things for them to know to have a good transition and a good ability to be powerful with it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on the person, right? Because you got different people coming from different walks of life. So if this is somebody who's been doing a standard American diet, sometimes people do want to start slow. Sometimes people aren't ready to jump right into a low carbohydrate, super low carbohydrate, or, like a zero carb carnivore approach. So, depending on the person, first of all, like looking at grains, gluten, all these anti-nutrient rich foods, like these, the lectins, the phytates, these foods that are full of nutrients that actually block the absorption of vital minerals, that actually can create low-level inflammation systemically in our gut, and result in, poor skin, eczema, autoimmune conditions, which eczema it's an autoimmune type situation, right? And so the first thing is like, pull out all the dang grains, the refined sugar, the junk food, all these added ingredients that are absolutely unnecessary, foods with 1,000 ingredients on the label, and get down to the basics. And the most important building blocks of a human diet, as I teach it, and obviously there's different ways of going about it. I'm sure there's vegans who are doing fine long-term, and I've just never met any of them in real life. I just see them on the internet. But
I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If it's helping you in any way, shape, or form, or if the channel's inspiring you, please subscribe, please share, hit the notification bell, and leave all your comments and questions down below. Thank you.
The most important part of the human diet, the crux of the human diet, the foundation of it, is animal fats and proteins. So fatty animal foods. Like, focus on filling up on fatty cuts of meat. If you can fill up on the fatty cuts of meat, if you eat the steaks, you're not going to be hungry for the cakes. And if you get sufficient protein and fat from those animal sources, you do not need anything else. Animal foods give you all the nutrients you need in the most bioavailable form, in the most nutrient-dense form, and in the most digestible form. So that's the problem with a lot of people. You can eat all the nutrients in the world. You can eat, and look, if you look at rocks on paper, they've got loads of nutrients in it, right? Those igneous rocks have tons of nutrients, loads of sulfur in it. The problem is we can't digest a lot of these foods that we've been told are so high in nutrition, right? So, what I've come to see is removing all possible anti-nutrient foods and getting it down to the basics, the bare essentials of the animal fats and proteins, is the most powerful elimination diet one can do. It's also the simplest, right? I mean, so you're filling up on meats, you're eating, so if people can handle eggs, most people can handle egg yolks. Some people have issues with egg whites, but, fatty cuts of meat, fish, focusing especially on ruminant animals, and then having some fish, seafood, shellfish, getting the zinc levels up, DHA and everything from the seafoods. But there are some people who just go red meat, who just go straight up ruminant animals, and they thrive on it. And so I'm sure people have heard of Michaela Peterson. Her story is pretty popular these days, dealing with depression, autoimmune conditions, inflammatory condition, chronic arthritis. Her father, Jordan Peterson, he lost like 50 pounds, maintained his fat loss, and got rid of, crushing, crippling existential depression using diet. So there's an inflammatory response to many foods. And unfortunately, when a lot of us are trying to get healthy, we end up focusing mostly on those foods. We end up going for, if we've got a torn up gut, we've taken a lot of antibiotics. If we're, getting an inflammatory response to all these foods and having issues with digestion, a lot of people, they start looking into it and figuring out what to do, and they get told, eat healthy whole grains, right? They get told to eat high fiber foods, get as much fiber in as you can. But this is not going to work for everybody. Some people might get some results with this, but a lot of people end up needing to take it further. And I'm sure, you probably deal with a lot of people in your coaching and what you do, people who've tried almost everything, like people who've, they've taken the cream, they've taken the, what's that popular medicine? The one that screws people's health up long-term.
Which take your pick. I mean, the most popular one right now that I just saw, Accutane. There's also Dupixent. that's out right now. And I have, please continue. We can get to Dupixent later.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about that because I mean, so many clients of mine who come to me say, I took Accutane when I was 15 and my body was never the same ever since.
Yep.
My digestion was off, chronic inflammation, just all sorts of inflammatory conditions after this. So a lot of people get wrecked guts. We've got antibiotics that are just getting thrown into our, into us like they're candy or something. I was raised on, I had ear infections as a kid, asthma, allergies. I remember taking amoxicillin so many times. It's like pink syrup medicine, and they make it taste like bubble gum, so you just want to chug it. This is an antibiotic, and these are absolutely destructive to the gut, totally destructive to the soil biome as well. We're using antibiotics on our food. Roundup, glyphosate, is patented as an antibiotic. It actually chelates the minerals in the soil and makes them unassimilable into the soil and destroys the topsoil. So these foods we're eating, the medicines we're taking, all of these, well, not all of them, because meat, obviously seafood, but many of these so-called health foods are just totally wrecking our guts and the soil biome as well. So getting to the essentials. Animals graze on grass. They eat that grass, they digest it, they ferment it, they turn it into digestible protein and fat. And they do it without the need for, long distance transportation like soy and wheat and corn products that get marketed to us as sustainable. They do it right in our backyards. You can have eggs, feed your eggs worms, let your eggs eat bugs in the yard, feed them compost scraps, and they will make nutrient-rich foods for you every single day. So we're all about the animal foods, the animal fats and proteins, and a carnivorous approach. The carnivore diet's been getting really popular lately. With a carnivore diet, there's no one way of doing it. Just like with a ketogenic diet, there's no the ketogenic diet. But a carnivorous approach that focuses on animal foods, that focuses on the most nutrient-dense foods that we can get, can be a really, really powerful approach for healing the skin. And that's usually one of the first things that people notice is their skin clearing up. Of course, intense autoimmune stuff, it does take time. The body is pretty incredible. There's systems within systems interacting holistically and all interacting with our environment, internal and external. And so the body takes time to heal from these things. There's an adaptation period. When you remove carbohydrates, your body's going to have to learn how to burn fat. So I usually suggest increasing the fat intake, sometimes pretty dramatically, especially in the beginning. A lot of people come to me are looking for fat loss. When you're first getting adapted to the diet, you don't want to be just focused on the fat loss. Don't just be focused on, I got to get the results as quick as possible. You want to create a sustainable foundation of habits that you can maintain long-term, right? If you want to keep eczema away, you don't just do an elimination diet for 6 weeks. Get rid of the eczema and then go back to eating your Fruity Pebbles, your bagels, your pizza every day. You're not going to get results that way. It's going to be temporary. So we need long-term adherence. And the only way to get long-term adherence is to formulate a diet and lifestyle that you can enjoy and live every single day, hopefully for the rest of your life.